Good morning, everyone. I think we're going to give a little time to get logged in, so everyone to get on. So we'll start at 9 o'clock, and just waiting for everyone to be let in. Good morning. Just waiting for everyone to be let in. We're going to start. I said at 9 o'clock originally, but we're going to begin about 9:05. So just bear with me while we let everyone into the Zoom meeting.
Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give everyone a few more minutes until 9:05 to come on in the virtual room and hear the wonderful presentation by Attorney Genera Morris. If you have any questions, I am going to put my email address in the chat. But if you have any questions specifically for Attorney Morris, you can use the Q&A button if you would like to remain anonymous with your question, or you can just type it directly in the chat. And I go interchangeably between professor and an attorney, because she's also a professor here at the Law Center. But she will take your questions either as they come or toward the end. Glad to see you in, Ms. Brown. And we'll be getting started at 9:05 for those of you who are just joining us.
Good morning. Good morning. We're going to go ahead and start. I was waiting for everyone to get put in into the Zoom meeting, but we're going to go ahead and begin. Ms. Dickerson, Professor Dickerson, I'm interchangeable too as well. She will. She came on a few minutes ago to let you know what time we'll be starting. I am, and some of you may already know me. I see some familiar names, but some of you may already know me. I'm attorney Genera Morris. I'm a 2005 graduate of Southern University Law Center. I left and went to took the bar in Mississippi. I'm a common law, Indiana. Began working at Southern University Law Center as an adjunct professor. I've enjoyed my time with Southern University as well, with educating young minds. This is the CLE is right up my alley because I definitely love to provide knowledge and give individuals information on anything that they may be looking for. I think this is very important, and we need to continue definitely with the CLEs. You'll see through the process of me kind of going through everything where where I'm going with this and what we need to do as young attorneys and attorneys getting ready to start our own businesses if we haven't started them already. This may be for various reasons that you came today to get more information on either running your business better or either beginning a business. So either one, is great. And I love to share knowledge of my experiences and what I've gone through with creating my own law firm. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat group. I will go through and look at those questions and answer those. If you want them privately, you can do them privately, or you can do them to the whole group. That's great, either one. So let me start off by I've already introduced myself. So I currently run basically the attorney as well as the office manager for an office that I run with my husband as well. Many of you may know him, Attorney Daniel Morris. I started off in my father-in-law's office in Mississippi and basically serving as an office manager for him and then becoming an attorney in that law office as well. So we want to build our own office edition. And how do we do that? These are the questions that I'm going to ask. I'm going to answer for you. Also give you information on what you need, what items you need, various things you need for this law office. It's not as simple as saying, okay, I'm getting a building or I'm going to go virtual, and we'll look at that as well. What's better fit for you? Should you have a physical office or should you have a virtual office? Definitely with what's going on right now with COVID-19, virtual has become, it's just blown up with law offices. A lot of people are, basically doing the virtual thing. And we'll look at the pros and cons of that and what's actually more beneficial for you as an attorney. Who starts these law offices? New attorneys, of course, and you'll see pictures. This is something that I do. You'll see pictures through my PowerPoint. These are actual graduates of Southern University Law Center, students that I've actually had the opportunity to teach. So you'll see their faces on here. I just didn't pull these pictures. These are actually some of our law students that graduated from Southern University Law Center. But these new attorneys, they build these, they want to build these offices from the ground up. And if you are a new attorney, of course, it's very scary to start your own law office. And you need these different tools. You need information on what you need to do in order to start these firms and be successful within your firm. And my best advice is to not cut any corners. Try not to cut any corners when starting your own law office. This is your baby. This is, this is something that you have to put your all into. Now, some new attorneys, they feel like, I'm an attorney, I've gone to law school. I tell my students all the time, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. But the thing is, within the first 5 years of you practicing, you may not make an enormous amount of money. You may not make, you may not make any money. You may just break even with starting your own firm. I have been there, done that, and completely understand it. So there's certain financial aspects of it that I will cover as well. So we have these new attorneys, they want to build from the ground up. Okay, great. It is doable. It's a process, and you have to go through that process, and that's okay. Also, we have attorneys that they start over. They say, okay, I don't want to work for anyone anymore. I want to go in this area of law. I've worked for firms, I've worked for agencies, I've worked for other organizations. It's time for me to do my own thing. I met an attorney. I had a case against attorney in Jackson, Mississippi, and his last case was actually the case that I was doing with him. And he was like, I'm going out on my own. I've been working for a firm for, I think he had been there for about 12 years. And he said, I just want to start my own firm. So we have a lot of attorneys that do that as well. They've worked in the court systems. They've worked a lot of places, and they're starting over. So you're basically, you're not a new attorney, but you're new to the area of private practice. And so you need these tools as well. So let's look at what we'll be talking about today. First, we have to have a purpose. That's the biggest thing. There has to be a purpose in you starting your own firm. It can't just be, I want to make money. No, I tell my students that all the time. If you're here just to make money, you need to find another profession, because it's, especially in private practice, some days you're on, some days you're off. You can still make $1 million. You could, you honestly could, but the thing is, it doesn't happen that often. It really doesn't. Some people have already made $1 million and it's already gone. Because like I said, this is your baby. You have to take care of this baby. And so you're constantly going and going and going, and also, paying and paying and paying. So you'd have to have this purpose. Number two, you have to have a mentor. You must have a mentor. And once you get that mentor, and you've gotten to the point where, which you never get to that point in law, where you learn everything and you know everything, you learn something new every day as an attorney. And we all know that. But you want to have this mentor, and we'll talk about mentoring and what you need to do in order to select a mentor or mentors that can help you through the process. You'll also need a name selection. We'll talk about that as well, and registering your business and what type of firm you want to establish. What area of law you're going into. So purpose. Why do we start a law firm? Some people start a law firm for freedom. I was one of those individuals. I knew when I came into law school, I don't want to work for anybody. I worked for somebody almost 7 years, and I was like, this is crazy. I was in corporate America, and I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore in the area that I was working in. And so I always wanted to be an attorney since the age of maybe I would say maybe 6 or 7. I have a few family members. I have one cousin that was, very instrumental in me becoming an attorney. She's an attorney and very instrumental in that. I watched her and I was like, wow, this is awesome. Even through law school, when she was at Southern University Law Center, I watched her and watched how she carried herself was one of the things that just inspired me, and how just her attitude altogether. But that freedom to me was something that was very important. You also may start a law firm because you're just a natural born leader. Some of us are just natural born leaders, and that's what we do. We also started because we want to make a difference. Mine was freedom, the leader, and making a difference. Did I want to specialize in an area of law? No, not necessarily. I love personal injury. That's what I do right now. I also do family law as well. My husband does criminal and he does personal injury, and I do a few other things, premises liability, which I hate to say it, but I really like premises liability because of the questioning, the questions that come up with premises liability. Mississippi is different from Louisiana, of course. So some people might be saying, "You're crazy. We don't ever get anything off of premises liability," but Mississippi is completely different. The challenge, I also like the challenge, and maybe you like the challenge of law. Law is a very, it changes. I mean, it's not that the law changes, but things change. Well, they do change. The law does change, depending on what the court rules. But it's a challenge. It's always this constant battle that you're going through, one within yourself to be better, another to change the law or to affect the law in a way. So it can be challenging, and just going up against somebody constantly. You're always like in this challenge with someone else, or this not confrontation. I won't say confrontation, but you're always challenging yourself. The money, some people try to get into it for the money. Like I said, you need 5 years, and I have a fellow attorney. He came out a little bit younger. You know, he's a little bit younger than me, but he's like he'll tell you, you know, you need to push to get your skills together within that 5 years. You need a mentor, and if you're doing it for money, that's just it's not a good idea. Now you want to make money. Let's say this, you do want to make money, and within this law firm, you definitely want to make sure that your prices are competitive, and you want to make sure that you're getting the right amount of money for your skill. There's nothing wrong with making money, but now when you overdo it and you charge the wrong thing, as far as charging it because, you know, this month my car note is coming up, and or it's Christmas, like right now, you have a lot of people that will make that bill just go up, and that's not fair to your client, nor is it ethical. So we'll talk about that as well. So these can be some of the purposes that you're starting your firm, and it may be something different for you, but this may be a reason. Another reason is if we want to give back. We want to give back to our communities. There are different areas of law that you can go into where that is something that you can do. You can do pro bono work as well. So don't think that even, you know, just because you started your law firm, you won't be doing pro bono work. You'll do that sometimes as well. So that's something else to take into consideration. All right, so let's jump into finding a mentor. A mentor can be a lot of people. It could be someone you just met. It could be someone you work for, someone from your hometown. I get a lot of students that say, you know, I have a relative that's an attorney, and that's a reason I want to be an attorney. I have a teacher that always pushed me to go into the legal field because they said I was going to be an attorney. I work for an attorney. It just depends who your mentor is. One thing that you want to make sure of is that this is a person that you're comfortable with, that you trust, or persons that you're comfortable with and that you trust. I hear a lot of students when they get out, it's the study partners that they had. They kind of mentor and help each other through the process. But the biggest thing about the mentor is you want someone with experience, and yes, and you want someone that has started their own firm and they understand what the process is and what you need to do, and they can provide you this guidance through this process. You want to have a relationship with this person. It's not just somebody that you call and say, okay, hey, I'm having this problem. That's the biggest problem with a lot of new attorneys. They just want to call somebody and say, okay, hey, look, I need help with this. Well, our time is money, and you know what I'm talking about. If you're an established attorney and someone that's been doing this for a while, our time is money. So we can't just work out your problem or what you need on that day with your legal issues or, whatever case you've taken. So that's something that you want to take into consideration when you're choosing a mentor or saying that someone is your mentor? Can they guide you through the process? And have you already, prior to coming to that mentor, have you already tried to work it out yourself as well? One thing that I definitely don't encourage is, if you're unfamiliar with the area of law that you're dealing with, then don't take the case, or work under a mentor that can help you with guidance through that case as well. If you don't do bankruptcy, that's what I'm saying. Don't take a bankruptcy case. If you don't do workers' compensation, or you're not familiar with workers' compensation, go to your mentor and say, okay, hey, I need help with this, if you know that your mentor does that. But if you're in that area of law, you still want to find someone that can help you through that process. So like I said, these resources, there could be an attorney in your hometown. I have a lot of students that they've just gotten out. I'm going on my 4th year teaching, and I have students that call me and say, okay, hey, how can, I need help with this. And I can either direct them your mentor can direct you to the right person, or, provide you with help through it. You also may have relatives that are attorneys, classmates, legal associations, bar associations, and network. And those are some of your resources that you can use. But it is very important that you get a mentor that can guide you, has experience, and you're comfortable with, and you have a relationship with. So we look at this law office, and what is the law office? I mean, what happens in that process? We're a small business. We start off as a small business, at least, unless we're starting one of these big mega firms, and that sort of it could become a corporation. And if you have that's something that you want to get into, you definitely need to start now in order to build a corporation. Some of these firms have been around for years and years and years, but there's a business side to this. It's a bifurcated entity, I call it. This is just something that I came up with, but it is a bifurcated entity. You have a business side and you have that legal side. So your business side, you have to deal with those financials, the taxes, the expenses, the business structure, and the loans. If you have loans or money that has been given to you by somebody in your family that may be an attorney, or someone that gave you startup costs, that's still a loan. So unless they say, hey, you don't have to pay it back. Your dad's a judge or an attorney or something like that, and they say, hey, look, I want you to be successful, and they give it to you and say you don't have to pay it back. That still goes into that business side of it. So these are the things that you have to look out for within this business side: those financials, the taxes, and expenses. Now, your legal side, you have these bar dues that you have to keep up with. You have to pay these bar dues regularly. Everybody knows that. You have filing fees. These are also expenses on that legal side, depending on what type of business you're going into. You have these office expenses, what we call overhead. If you have a virtual firm or you have a physical firm, you're still going to have these office expenses. Supplies could kind of go into office expenses. I separate them because the office expenses that I typically call office expenses are those that I have to expend on clients and litigating the client's cases, as well as any expenses that I have with continuing the firm itself. And that could be from expert fees. It could be from fees for getting my client to the doctor, whatever it is. But supplies, you'll definitely need supplies. Malpractice insurance is another one on that legal side that you will definitely use. And you will likely need, if you have a building, you're going to need insurance on that building. If you have employees as well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Then you'll also have that expense as well, which I would throw into office expenses, your office equipment, salaries, and wages as well. So that's the legal side of it. And so you need to know a lot about both of these. So not only are you an attorney, just like we learned in law school, attorneys aren't just attorneys, we're counselors, You know, we're psychiatrists. I mean, we could be anything. You know, we're comforters. We can be whatever the client needs, whatever our actual firm needs. We have a lot of roles. We could, just like I said, I'm an office manager. I also manage our office as well. So there are a lot of hats that attorneys wear, especially with, you know, owning your own firm. So resources for that, the Small Business Association is a really good resource for us, especially with COVID. There were small business loans that were given out within the COVID-19 pandemic. And the Small Business Association, I find you need to definitely find where your small business association is, and kind of, if you need that loan or you need a little help or whatever it is, you can talk to someone in the Small Business Association, the ABA as well, the State Bar Association, the Secretary of State, and the IRS. And I'll tell you a little bit about that as well as we move on. All right, so the biggest thing that we need in the beginning, we need a business plan. We definitely need a business plan if we're starting our own firm, virtual or a physical office. A lot of people skip this. They skip the business plan, but this is really is serious. You need a business plan because you need to know where you're going. You need to know what you have coming into this business, what you're trying to make as far as money wise. You need to know what expenses you're going to have, and you know how you're going to do everything that you need to do to reach the goal. You definitely need a goal with starting your own firm, and what that goal is going to be as far as money wise, as far as making money. How many cases can you take? And if it's not cases, how many, you know, what consulting can you do? What kind of things that you can do to make money? That's another thing about being an attorney. We don't just, even though we wear a lot of hats, we also have a lot of jobs as well. If you're just doing law itself and practicing, that may not be, I always say multiple streams of income. We get into everything. Attorneys get into all kind of stuff. Real estate, we contract out, we become a consultant, we do all kind of stuff. So this can be included in your business plan as well. So with this business plan, you want to take inventory of where you are, determine where you want to go, and build a map to getting there. So this business plan, you want to get with someone. If you don't know what you're doing and how to do it, you want to get with someone and find out how to construct this actual business plan. But this is very, very important. As I said, the Small Business Association can help you with that, for resources with building this business plan. But this is the first thing that you want to do after you have, and definitely after you've talked to your mentor, or gotten some kind of advice from another attorney. I'm always open to helping. So if you have any questions after this CLE, you definitely can contact me. I am not a guru on everything, but we built a firm from the ground up. So I kind of, you know, might know what I'm doing a little bit, but yeah, you definitely can contact me. I may not be able to write your business plan. I consulted someone else for that when I did my business plan. So, but this is definitely an important step if you're serious about making money in this profession. Also, okay, so we want to also decide on a firm name. And you want to look at the rules within your jurisdiction. Not everybody here is from Louisiana. There are some people that do common law, practice in common law, and you want to look at your state and see what your state says about the name that you're using. So different states say different things. You need to look at the professional rules of responsibility. And I have 7.5 up for you right now. And you don't want any misleading names or false names, trade names. You could use trade names in some locations. Associations, there are rules on that. And there are other rules with associations with government agencies, public or legal associations, charitable agencies. You can't use those. And like I said, you have to look in the state that you're actually going to practice in. Georgia, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Jersey, Ohio, Rhode Island, and Texas, they do not allow, so they don't allow you to use different trade names. Those are some of those. They have a trade name restriction. They say that they can be misleading. So like I said, it depends on where you are. And the law, definitely everything within the law depends on what is said and where you are, what jurisdiction you're in. So you want to look at that. I gave a case example, attorney licensed in DC and no other states, previously licensed in Illinois. This attorney gave a retainer to a client in Maryland and 2 retainers to a client in Virginia. And during the course of representation, attorney and non-lawyer assistant used letterhead and other business communications with the clients and with third parties. Well, the disciplinary board found that the attorney violated Rule 7.1 and 7.5 based on the letterhead, case-related correspondence, and the retainer agreements. And it says that it is professional misconduct for a lawyer to make a false or misleading communication about the lawyer or the lawyer's services. And it provides in pertinent part that the lawyer shall not use a firm name, letterhead, or other professional designation that violates Rule 7.1. It is undisputed that attorney on numerous occasions in connection with the representation of the clients identified as attorney in the letterhead in case-related correspondence and identified the attorney's office as being in Maryland. So that was the issue. It is also undisputed that the attorney did so without explaining that the attorney was not licensed to practice law in Maryland. And these things can be slippery slopes. So you want to make sure that when you're choosing the name of your firm that you're doing it in accordance with the ABA rules. And ABA Rule 7.5, you need to check that for whatever you're going to be doing. So we move on from the name, and now we want to register our business. And where do we register our business and reserve our name? That's going to be the Secretary of State. You're going to need an EIN number. And I know some of you might be here and say, oh, I already know this, I already know this kind of stuff, but not everybody does. Some new attorneys have no idea what's going on and what they need to do in the process. So you should also check the rules of the Secretary of State and in registering your EIN with the Secretary of State. And you'll also need to do a business formation, and that business formation will be due yearly. You'll have to update certain records within for the Secretary of State as well in registering your business. All right, so then you need to decide what kind of business you're going to register. You're going to do an LLC, LP, LLP, sole proprietorship, or corporation. And I would consult with, like I said, don't cut corners. Don't just sit in front of the computer and say, okay, I can do this. I'm just going to pick whichever one. I know about it, but I would consult a tax professional, a tax attorney, an accountant, or somebody within the Small Business Association, so that you make sure that you don't have any issues, you don't have any kinks, because that's what we don't need. We don't need any problems when we're starting a firm. We don't need any issues. And so cutting corners sometimes will create those issues. When we're saying, okay, I'm just going to choose one and move on and start working. And I know it's a desperate time sometimes, because you're like, I don't have, I need to start working. I need to get this established, but don't rush it. Definitely don't rush through it. Do it the correct way. So choose that business formation and consult your resources, as I said. All right, and then you want to look at your tax types, your business types with the SBA. Use those resources and look at what type of business you're going to start. And you definitely need to be registered, have that EIN number. I do a lot of, like I said, I do a lot of personal injury, and so the first thing they want is that EIN number for your firm once you settle. So that may not be with every area of law you're going in, but you will need that EIN number for various things for tax purposes. All right, so here we go. The meat and potatoes of this thing. Are we going to have a physical office? Are we going to have a virtual office? What are we going to do with this? And how do we start this physical office? How do we start this virtual office? And what are the pros and cons of it, of having a physical office or a virtual office? I have a virtual office right now, but I also work out of a physical office when I go to Mississippi, which is my father-in-law's office. So I have the best of both worlds. And the biggest thing is because I don't use the physical office as much, if I need to do a deposition, if I need to have a meeting with a client in Mississippi, I just pay as I go. And you can do that as well. There are different offices where you can have a physical office. You can also, I see a lot of attorneys that have offices. They actually use those offices for depositions, meetings with clients, whatever, for whatever reason, and they just pay as they go. That virtual office, it just depends. I'm in my home right now. That's my virtual office. There are certain guidelines that you might have to meet within certain states. They may require you to have an occupational license. They may require, depending on where you live, and what home or neighborhood you live in, you might have to report that you're running a business out of your home. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the guru on everything, but you need to find out those things. Is there something against having a law firm structure within the area that you live in, if that's where your virtual office is going to be? All right, so let's look at this. The physical office. Yeah, we have overhead. And when I say overhead, you got to pay the lights, you have to have water. You're going to have some sort of internet service. If it's cable, you definitely have to have that. Those are required. With that physical office, you're going to have different supplies. You're going to have filing cabinets. You're going to have furniture, and we can't just have, we can't just have anything within that physical office, because this is where our clients are going to come. So there are other expenses with that. The virtual office, there's minimal overhead. My overhead is what I pay for my house. So that's my overhead. So it's minimal. And like I said, with COVID-19, a lot of people had to actually deal with this, where they said people were scrambling. I can't go to the physical office anymore, and I can't have people inside my office and working all day. Some people have picked up the pieces and started right back over in that physical office. But they had, for a time, they still had to do that virtual office. And basically, I know it was a headache getting all the files and bringing them wherever you need to, or having to go to the office and not have your support as well within that physical office. So it just depends. The physical office does have more expenses because, like I said, you need the furniture. You're going to need different equipment. You're going to need, there's a separate light bill, separate water bills. It's just separate. So the virtual office has less expenses. The furniture in the physical office, if you're renting or leasing, some people have the blessing of owning their own physical office. My father-in-law is one of those. He bought it. That's it. He doesn't have to pay any rent. So beautiful. I aspire to be that way one day. You have less travel with the virtual office. With the invention of Zoom and all of these Google Meets and everything, and you can do it on your cell phone, and a lot of clients are privy to that. They know how to work it, so you can meet with them on Zoom for your virtual office. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do that. So they're just different things. The rental and lease insurance on the physical office. You have the premises liability insurance that you have with the physical office, especially if you have individuals working, may require workers' compensation insurance as well. the travel, the distractions, the security, clothing expenses, office sharing, because you can't just walk in there, with anything on in your physical office. Virtual office, you could wear pajamas, and nobody will ever know. There are less distractions in that virtual office. I worked for a firm, had the pleasure of working for Elvin Sterling before he passed, and I mean, we had distractions. We learned a lot. It was a beautiful experience, but we also had, it was people in and out, in and out. It could be, even when I worked with my father-in-law, a lot of clients would just pop up, and you're in the middle of trying to get a brief out, and here's a client, and they want to talk and they want to see you. And so there are distractions. Even if you can't meet with that client at that point in time, it still distracts you because you have people coming in and out of that office, or new clients that are coming in, and you have to stop. And a new client, if they call you, say, if you could take the Zoom call, or you could take the phone call in a virtual office, it is what it is. Less physical interaction with clients, attorneys, etc. Lack of meeting space for the virtual office, and you have more life flexibility within this virtual office. I could do a load of clothes. I'm just saying, I could do a load of clothes at the same time that I'm doing everything in here. And then it's the biggest thing with virtual office is it's hard to separate the work and the home life. It's very hard. And then there's also this stigma of the virtual office, like you can't afford a physical office, and then some of the clients, they're like, you don't have a physical office? That's weird. But like I said, with COVID-19, they're not expecting that anymore. So virtual has really come to the forefront, and people are saying, oh, you have a virtual office, so now you don't really have so big of a stigma. They're saying, you've basically caught up with the times. Security is one thing that I really want to talk about too, with the physical and virtual office. And what we need to be as attorneys, we definitely need to be aware of our surroundings. We're kind of just out there. People know us. In certain areas, we're mini celebrities. If you're on billboards, and you're in phone books, and you're on Facebook, and people know that you're an attorney. Some clients, I've never met some of my clients physically. I've never met them. I may see a picture of them, or they'll contact me on Facebook, Instagram. So you have to be, you really have to be aware of what's going on around you, because sometimes people will know you and you don't even know them. You don't know what's going on. And I like to reference attorney Ellis Pittman in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I think sometimes, and I'm saying this with the law firm, with starting the law firm, you have to be careful. You just have to be careful of what you're doing when you have this physical office or the virtual office. You have to be aware of who's coming in your office and who's coming out. So there's a big thing with security. You definitely need security in these physical offices. And Ellis Pittman, if you want to read about him, he was actually murdered in his office during a deposition, and the client shot him and killed him. So it's very important, guys, that even in the courtrooms, in our offices, when we're doing depositions, we need to make sure that we understand an escape route. We need to understand what kind of clients, because not all clients, they don't understand that this is not something personal. They get upset with you. I've been on the other end of that, to the point of almost being attacked in an office during a deposition. So you need to really be aware of that and understand exactly what's going on. But Ellis Pittman, he was murdered by a client within his office. So if you're going to have a physical office, make sure you have some sort of security cameras, whatever. So the law office needs and requirements. Of course, we talked about office equipment, supplies, staff. What I want to say about staff and managing your staff is that if you're going to have staff, you're going to have a paralegal, a legal assistant, a secretary, whatever, you are responsible for those people. You're responsible for what they do. You're responsible when they don't file whatever it is. And you know, if you have a deadline, you need to make sure that you're aware of what that deadline is, because staff, you know, that's not their baby. That's not on them. That's on you. So you need to be aware of everything that's going on and make sure that you document everything, especially prescriptive periods, statute of limitations. If you're in common law, you need to make sure that you have something to manage your staff, or someone that you trust to manage your staff. Because I have seen a lot of attorneys, and this happens with them. Somebody didn't open the mail, or somebody put something on the side and they didn't pay attention to it, and you've missed a court date or you missed something. It happened to my husband where he had an assistant. I kept telling him, hey, look, this assistant is not doing what this assistant needs to do. And this is when I had taken another job in Mississippi at the same time that he was trying to build his firm. But he actually we had a MDL, multi-district litigation, and for some birth control cases, and he was supposed to be in Ohio. And she sent him to Cleveland and never checked that it was somewhere else. So he had to drive like 2 hours to the place. I forgot where it was, but he had to actually drive 2 hours. So, you know, like I said, you got to watch. You have to watch everything that's going on and make sure that you're aware. So research resources, Westlaw, LexisNexis, you want to get a subscription. You need that subscription. You can't just Google all the cases. It just doesn't work like that. It's very hard to keep up. Now, some of the, or maybe all of them, bar associations have where you can search case law. I don't know what yours is called. We have one in Mississippi where you can actually go to the bar association. It's a case link, and they give you a subscription for being a member of the bar, and you can look up. It's not as accurate as Westlaw and LexisNexis. Not to say accurate, but it's not as the research. You have to go through a lot of hoops, and not like Westlaw where you can just search, or LexisNexis where you can just search something and it just all these things just pop up, and it's, you know, specific to the case what you're actually looking for. They narrow it down a lot better in Westlaw and LexisNexis. So you want to have access to that. Case manager is another one that we have as well. We want to know about the attorney's ethics rules, Westlaw, LexisNexis. CLEO is something new that came out. If you want to check that, CLEO manages very perfectly everything. And I'm not rooting for anyone, business, but CLEO does a very good job at office managing. Case manager does, and they also have law pay, because we have to watch the way that we're being paid as well. I have, clients that they say, okay, can I use Zelle? Can I use Cash App? Can I use this? Well, it depends. It just depends on what we're paying. If we have a retainer, and some of those funds are, if it's just a flat out, this is how much I charge and this is it, I'm doing the work and then I'm going to pay myself. It depends on what the ABA says about that. I would not use it, per se, PayPal and all of those. I wouldn't necessarily use it unless it's linked to my client trust account. And we'll talk about client trust accounts as well. Client management, like I said, CLEO is really good for that. Case manager as well. And your malpractice insurance. These are things that you're definitely going to need. Your office is definitely going to need. You don't definitely need, if you're the staff, you could be the office manager and that's fine. I'm very, not very trustworthy of individuals. So I kind of tend to handle all of my stuff myself. And have done a very good job. Probably going to have to get someone else in a little while, but I've just not found that person that that, you know, just meets my needs. So you'll know when you have staff or a paralegal that you can trust and that you love, and you don't have to train, because that's the biggest thing, having to train someone. You don't have time for that. I hate to say it, you just don't. So look at those law office needs and requirements and make sure that you are you're in compliance with that. All right, safekeeping of property. Let's talk about this client trust account before we run out of time. I talk a lot, so I try to give you as much information, and things come on to the top of my head. So I just want to make sure that I'm covering everything. This client trust account, you've heard about it, the IOTA account. They're actually two different things. It's used to hold the client's funds or property. The attorney acts as the fiduciary with regards to the client's funds, and the attorney must not, you cannot mismanage or mishandle the funds in the client trust account. You cannot do that. You know, and if you're not doing it, if you're not commingling the funds, if you're not mismanaging the funds like the client trust account, you cannot have things bouncing in this account. You cannot, if you make a mistake, you need to try to reconcile it as soon as possible. Pay attention to what you're doing as far as these client trust accounts are going. I actually manage mine through a system, VersaCheck, and so I can write my own checks. I can, you know, I know what account it has to come out of. Not writing, like physically writing, I can print my own checks, I meant. So I have this set up where I know exactly what's coming out of each account, what's supposed to come out, what's the balance, all of these things. So you want to be very detailed in this, especially with mismanaging and mishandling, because a lot of times, depending on your bar association, they might not say, oh, it's just a slap on the wrist, you made a mistake. Some of them may do, you know, unspeakable things. And, you know, we know what could happen. So you want to definitely look into the client trust account, make sure you're in compliance. Depending on your state, that's rule 1.5. The commingling of funds is prohibited. A lawyer shall never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever place your private funds with the client's funds. They are to be kept separate. This is not a joke. It is very serious. Do not commingle funds. You don't want to do that, because that could be a serious bar charge. And honestly, your clients are not your friends. They're just not. They can find a way that you're slipping. I hate to say it, they will. And they will file a bar charge. That's something that you have to balance. I balance my clients by saying, I don't think I want to deal with you, you know, and that's okay. I send them to somebody else, because if you give me the red flags in the beginning that it's going to be a problem, I can't do it. And I've been in here, I've been doing it too long to just take any case. You young attorneys that are just starting out, you may deal with that. You may deal with where you're going to just take a case and you're like, I don't care about a red flag. I just need to settle this case. Not a good idea. But you live and you learn. So you definitely want to look at that. But CTAs should never be overdrawn. The attorney must keep meticulous records of the CTA. You need to check with your state to find out if our IOTA is mandatory. It may differ from state to state whether it's mandatory or voluntary. So you want to look at the client trust account and IOTA account and see what's required. You definitely need a client trust account no matter what. It needs to be separate from everything. Don't touch anything unless it's being paid to the client or you're paying yourself from that as well. And, you know, cash is a slippery slope with that as well. Don't have that much to say about that. I would put it in my client trust account if it's for a retainer agreement. If it's for just flat out payments, you need to look at your state to find out what's required. Okay. So this fiduciary duty to keep the money secure, to keep it separate from the attorney's personal funds and those of your law firm. Your operating account is different from your client trust fund. You cannot, your business account, that's different as well. So you want to keep meticulous records of that IOTA account. Meticulous. It needs to be clean. to notify the client when a settlement check comes in, and to appropriately disburse the funds to those whom it belongs to, and to maintain accurate records reflecting all such receipts and disbursements. All right, so you need to look at the client trust account. I put an example here. We don't really have time for me to go through all of it. But one of the big takeaways from this is keep it separate and don't commingle, and don't bounce anything in that CTA. Malpractice insurance. I don't have a list of names of different malpractice insurance companies, but it's easy to Google it, look at the best one. This is in case of crisis, and you never know when a crisis is going to happen. You want to protect your assets and your firm. It covers costs while dealing with claims of malpractice, any misrepresentation, violation of good faith, or damages as a result of the lawyer's actions. And people make mistakes. We, as attorneys, some of us has made a lot of mistakes, and it just, never gotten to that, to a malpractice lawsuit. But some have, and they have had malpractice lawsuits, and either they're paying it through their insurance company, or you're going to have to pay it yourself. You don't want that. So look at your state bar and ABA to make sure of what you're doing. Now, the biggest thing for us as attorneys, we need some self-care, and there's a CLE on that. This self-care is the mental and physical health. I always tell my students, they look at me crazy every time in the beginning of the semester. I tell them, look, y'all have to change what you're eating. You just have to. You're going to have to take vitamins. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do whatever. They look at me like I'm crazy, but in the middle of the semester, when they're starting to study and things are starting to transition, they all start getting sick. Everybody starts getting sick. This will happen to us as well. So not just sickness, we have a high rate of attorneys that are, we have a substance abuse issue. We have alcoholism, and we have drugs as well. Very high rate of individuals. The suicide rate for attorneys is very high. So it is very important for you to take care of yourself. You can get lost in this business, especially when you have started your own firm. You can get completely lost in just the everyday task of having to deal with this firm, because like I said, it's your baby. I have 2 children. I wake up in the middle of the night worried about them sometimes. And I do the same thing with the law office, and I have to pull back at that point that I get that way. I have to definitely pull back and say, okay, wait, this is consuming you. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to eat good stuff. We definitely want to do that. Attorneys are notorious for eating. We eat, we drink, we eat, we drink, we eat. We go to all of these different things. So we want to start eating good stuff. We want to start practicing mindful meditation, relaxation techniques. If you're not religious, church is one of the a good escape for me. I go and get massages. I read books. I read books that don't have anything to do with the law. I watch a lot of crime shows. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but I love the crime shows. But it relaxes me. Exercise, organizing and maintaining your time, managing your time. That is a big one for attorneys, because what we do, especially attorneys that have private practice, we don't organize well sometimes. So you have to be organized and manage your time, because you need family time. If you have a family, you need office time, and you need all the other things that you're doing as well. So you want to make sure that you're organized. De-escalate conflicts. Conflicts with attorneys, other attorneys, opposing counsel. Some of them can get on your nerves, I swear. Especially when they know you're a young attorney and you're just starting out. They will look up your bar roll number. They'll Google you. They'll look up all kind of stuff on you. So that can be conflict. Some of them will create conflict just for those reasons, because you're a young attorney. You don't know what the heck you're doing. They start off real nice, and then they become snakes, venomous, and ready to bite you in the neck. So you need to look at those things, and don't ever think anybody is your friend in this profession. Get your mentor, get the people that you can surround yourself with. that will help you through this process. But definitely opposing counsel and other people, they may not be the nicest. But one of the biggest things too is when you're dealing with judges and you're dealing with clerks, you want to be nice. You want to be nice to the office administrator, the administrative assistant to the judge. You want to be nice. Don't catch attitudes with those people, because you might not ever see a day in court, or your day in court may be like, I remember one time we went to Mississippi to handle a case. We just had a hearing. It was supposed to be a really nice hearing. And for some reason, my father-in-law and the judge just did not see eye to eye that day. We walked in, the judge was completely red. He was drinking water, and I'm looking at my father-in-law, and it was just not a good meeting of the minds that day, in what the judge did to my father-in-law's client. And so the judge, the first thing that came out of his mouth when I stood up, oh, it's another Morris. So he had just really, whatever happened, we ended up dealing with and having to take the repercussions of that. So be nice, be nice. He probably couldn't help it that day, but be nice. Pursue curiosity, your joys and your passions. Law is just, law is beautiful. I love it. If you don't feel the same way about it, then you need to pursue other avenues. It's not that you can't do law. You might not want to do it for the rest of your life. So pursue those curiosities and your joys and your passions and anything else that you want to do. Utilize social support. Like I said, find those mentors, find those people that you could talk to. I remember calling my cousin about an issue I was having, and she just made it so much better. I felt so much better after I talked to her, and I could see after I talked, because I was mad about the situation. And after I talked to her, she calmed me down. So you want to utilize those social supports, if it's a fellow lawyer, or if it's your husband, your wife, whatever. Seek professional help if you feel overwhelmed. This, mental illness and depression is serious. So be honest with yourself. Just be honest with yourself and say, this is not good. And seek professional help. Seek someone to talk to, and step back from it as well. I witnessed an attorney basically just destroy his whole firm in Mississippi with failing to seek professional help. He was overwhelmed. He was completely overwhelmed, and he ended up getting suspended because he was exhausted, and he was. He had too much happening to him, and he didn't go and say, okay, I need help. And that's okay. If you have to shut down the firm, or ship cases out to other people so that you can bring back your joy and your passion, that's just something you have to do, because you can't work if you did. You just can't. You can't do anything if you're gone. Prevent burnout. Set clear boundaries early. Maintain those boundaries. You have to maintain boundaries with your clients. If I'm giving you any kind of good advice, you have to maintain those boundaries. I'm a cell phone person. I text my clients. I allow my clients to text me. But when I need a break, I'm like, hold up, client. It just doesn't work. Now, I maintain communication. One reason I do that is because I don't ever want a client, and I want documented communication with my client. That's something you have to work on, because you do need to document everything when you're talking to a client, when you're talking to another attorney, when you're talking to a judge, because anybody can come back and say, I didn't say that. So maintain those boundaries, but also know that everything that you do must be documented. If you talk to an attorney on the phone, email them back at the end of that conversation, and to memorialize our conversation that we had, or our previous conversation. This is what we said. And if that attorney calls you right after you send that email, or emails you something contrary to what you actually talked about, we already know. So document everything. Say no to reasonable requests. Be assertive. You're an attorney. Be assertive. I'm a very gentle person, very nice, and my students seem to think so until they go there. And I believe in that. I believe in, I don't have to be, I don't have to be that way until you make me that way. So it's okay to be a good attorney, be nice, but don't be too nice. Be assertive. Avoid multitasking. Respect your downtime. When it's family time, I shut down. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not talking to clients. I'm not talking to judge. Oh, well, I'll talk to the judge. I'm not gonna lie about that. Talk to the judge, but respect your downtime and maintain your community. Maintain a sense of community and get involved as well. Too many attorneys, they sit back in their office and all they do is office. You want to get out there in the community and find out what's going on and how you can make a difference. True self-care is not an excuse to escape from our lives, but rather a means to create a life we don't feel the need to escape from in the first place. So if you love this profession, don't feel that you need to escape from it. Know when you have it could be your escape, or know when to say I need to back off a little bit. But self-care is very important. And remember, you started off as a young attorney, and when you get yourself settled in after your 5-year mark and you've made these different changes and you've established a perfectly great law office and you're doing what you want to do, pay it forward, because these young attorneys need you. So remember, you become a mentor to someone. When I went to law school, nobody in my family other than one of my cousins and then a cousin after me became a attorney. I'd never seen any other attorneys. I just come from a long line of teachers. And here I am, I'm a teacher again. I'm a teacher now, but a teacher on a different level. That was my passion. After going through my 5 years of beginning and, starting in the law firm, I said, there's no way in hell that I'm not giving back to younger attorneys. So one reason I became a law professor, and is to give back, is to say, okay, this is what you're going to face. And this is one of the reasons that I enjoy doing these CLEs as well, because I'm giving back. I'm able to tell people, this is what you'll face, this is what will happen. So remember to pull back and pull those young attorneys up as well, and pay it forward. All right, so success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. So these are our beautiful young attorneys that we have at Southern University Law Center. Some of them are graduates, some of them are graduating. And so we tell them this all the time. Of course, you've always heard the seriousness of purpose. So we have to have a seriousness in our purpose, and we have to know what our purpose is in order to start these firms and to make give back to SULC, make SULC. We're already great, but just continue the greatness that we have, and give back to these young attorneys and to the alma mater that made us who we are. So that is basically the end of my CLE. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'm looking through the group chat. I don't really see any questions. Do